Hi, I'm Dr. Gerald Deas. Welcome to Health Center from Downstate Medical Center. You know, the greatest thing that you can do in life as an elder is look back and see who you might have influenced in your life. And medicine is so important because you have to be a model, a role model for so many youngsters who are coming along that says, I'm going to be the first thing they ever say, I'm going to be a pediatrician. I think that why they say that is because it's a long first word they've known in medicine. They don't just say medicine or I want to be a pediatrician, and these are little kids. And when that happens, at least they got pediatrician in their mind, but they don't realize how long it's going to take, and you're not supposed to make that a problem to them either. You're going to be a pediatrician. In fact, I think that a pediatrician should be started from the age of the third grade in school. I had a school out in South Jamaica where there was a wonderful principal there, and he started calling the school, instead of a number, he called it academy. And the school was called, and from the little ones, they went to an academy. They didn't go to a PS, so forth and so forth. Yeah, that gives you kind of like a pride that, oh, I go to an academy, And so even words mean so much to children, and mentoring and things like this. At Downstate Medical Center, I've been here 50 years. I came here in 1958 as a student, black student. And there's only two black African Americans in my class, Leo Stewart and myself, and about 200, And they said at that time, during that time, they said we're going to have 3,000 by 2,000. That means 3,000 black physicians by the year 2000. It did not happen. Just knowing what the population of African Americans are in this country and across the country and so forth, we did not create enough black physicians. Why? It's not because of intelligence or students who wanted to become doctors, because most of my friends went overseas to become doctors. But getting more to today, what we're going to talk about, mentoring, because I have a person here that came here at the age of 14 in a science program that they had at Downstate. We had a program in Downstate on Arthur Ashe also has it at the present time. But we had a program, and there was George Leonard and Michael Johnson were the head of this program for young students. And it was just a wonderful program. And the kids came in, they were 13, 14 years old, who wanted to be doctors. We made sure that they got involved with different doctors and different things, laboratories, and going on trips and things like that to make that dream come true. Well, among one of those students who is sitting with me today after so many years, and this is Dr. Scott, Dr. Sadiqa Scott, and a doctor. I said doctor now. He may look like he's just starting at 13, 14, again, all over again. But she's a doctor, PhD. And we're going to get into her story of what made her become a scientist, and a very important thing in our communities, because we do lack scientists. George Washington Carver, this thing, what he didn't have, and became one of the greatest soil chemists in the world. So many have gone through that kind of thing, Tuskegee and so forth. So I want to welcome you, Dr. Scott.
Thank you very much, Dr. Deas. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure to have you, because as I was walking down the hall with you, and everybody was saying, "Oh, how you doing, Sadiqa?" and this thing and that thing, I was so surprised that you were so well known here, and because I had gotten on the phone with you because you had wanted me to work with a program with you and our dear friend from S.U.N.Y magazine and so forth, which we'll get into, but maybe before we get started on all of that, let's get a little bit of your background. And when you were 5 years old, what did you say to your mother?
Well, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, in New York. I was born in Kings County Hospital, actually. And I remember at the age of 5, I was thinking, well, what is it that I can do to help the world? And about the age of 8, I found out about cancer, and I thought, oh, well, I can help to cure cancer.
Well, how did cancer come to your vocabulary?
Well, I heard about it on the news. I was
Okay.
hearing about it. One of my teachers mentioned it to me
I see.
early on. So I thought, this seems really serious, and this is
Yes.
something that I could help the world with.
Oh, yeah.
And then I told my mother about it, and she said, well, go ahead. That's what you will do then.
That's a great
Yeah,
mother.
I had a great support system.
Yeah, right.
And
right.
then later on, I had a wonderful biology teacher in high school, Karen Hutchinson. And
What high school was that?
That was Boys and Girls High School. Boys
Okay.
and Girls High School in Brooklyn.
I went to Boys High too.
Yeah.
Many years ago. Yes, go ahead.
And that really deeply inspired my interest in biology. And through her, I learned about the Arthur Ashe Health Science Academy.
All right.
And through that program is where I began to really learn in depth about biology.
Right.
And I figured out through that program that I actually wanted to obtain my PhD as opposed to an MD,
Right.
because I really enjoyed understanding how the behind the scenes work,
Yes.
the problem solving aspect of science.
Yes.
And so that was at the beginning of my journey
Well,
into science.
the Arthur Ashe Institute, which is still going on today, that gave a lot of young people their start.
Yes.
And when you got in there and meeting all these other intelligent young folks there, it must have been a good backup for you too, for mentoring and things like that.
Oh, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. There were residents there who were helping with the mentorship,
Right, sure.
and it was nice seeing, people also, they had a diverse staff, it was nice
Yes.
seeing people who looked like me, and that helped to inspire me
yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
So that was a great experience.
Now, from high school, what college did you go to?
I went
Brooklyn.
I went to Binghamton University.
Oh, that's right.
Binghamton University, upstate New York, and I had a wonderful experience there. Great interactive teachers there, and but it was I really figured out what I wanted to do in terms of science. That was
Yes.
during the summer of my junior year, and I actually came back to Downstate,
Right.
and I did research with Dr. Miriam Furman.
All right.
And through the research that I did in her lab, I realized, I like molecular and cellular biology. And that was late into my career, into my undergraduate career, but that's when I realized, I have a passion for that area of research.
Right, yes.
And so that's what really inspired me to decide to get my PhD in molecular and cellular biology.
Well, it's really interesting. People think you have to have known institutions like Harvard, Yale. They're the ones that you have to get into, or you have to go to private schools, and pay a lot of money to go to private schools and things like this. But the education system in America isn't bad at all. I mean, I came through it too, and for me to have succeeded to get many degrees and different things, it was all mostly in the city schools, and so to the students out there, they don't have to think that they have to be so competitive on all the highest tests. It drains you so much.
It does.
And it takes away from just true studying, just to get education to pass a test in a high score. You know what I mean? You'll get that along other lines as you go along, but the thing is that to be a free spirit.
Absolutely. I think you have to be malleable. You have to see what's out there and look at all opportunities, and don't look badly upon any one opportunity,
Right.
because I had different options for my undergraduate schools, and I went to Binghamton. I always thought I wanted to go to Columbia University.
Right, yes.
And then I actually went to visit the campus, and I realized I'm not in love with this university.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Binghamton, I saw the campus, and I absolutely loved it. And I had a wonderful experience, so much support there.
Oh, yeah.
So
Support.
Yes,
You mentioned a
support.
very important word, when somebody embraces you when you go to college.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you stay on the periphery. You might do well in your courses, but it doesn't give you direction, because talking to that adult, when I was at Downstate Medical Center, or not Downstate, but Brooklyn College, you took biology 1 and 2, and then a course that divided you whether you're going to stay in science or not was a course called comparative anatomy. And comparative anatomy was so hard at Brooklyn College that they posted the final exam on the wall of the department. In other words, they said, if you know all of this, you deserve an A. So they gave you all the questions.
Right.
That's all right. So I had a wonderful doctor, Mark Parks. is his name. African American, only African American in the Department of Biology. He was teaching in comparative anatomy. And he took a liking to me. He came out of Bed-Stuy himself, lived there in Bed-Stuy, and he was a PhD in anatomy and things like this. And so he guided me. I had him for comparative anatomy, and I aced the course, you know. Just the way he taught it, I was able to do that, you know. So it's so important to be embraced early in life by teachers, because when teachers distant to you, or there's a barrier, and they're not embracing you to say, well done.
Absolutely.
You fall to the side.
Yeah, speaking of falling to the side, I mean, I saw that happen during my undergraduate career, and I understand how that happens. At the beginning, when you're transitioning out of high school into college, you don't necessarily know what to do. You can't do the same things that you did in high school in undergrad.
Surely.
And I quickly learned that. In high school, I didn't have to study more than maybe an hour for exams in order to do well.
Right.
You know, and I was able to join different activities, you know, many different activities. But in undergrad, my first semester, I thought maybe I could do the same thing.
Surely.
Introductory bio courses and chemistry courses, and I quickly learned that
you don't do it that way.
You don't do it that way. My grades
not the night before.
Exactly. My grades quickly showed it, and I was hit with a reality check. And then fortunately, there were support systems like the Binghamton Success Program, and I learned about time management. I learned about meeting with people in groups, doing study groups.
Yes.
And after I began to utilize time management and study groups, my grades shot through the roof. My GPA went to a 4.0, and just with those two key components, utilizing those. Yes.
You know, it's just by you saying something like that, you're going to be a good mentor for other young people coming along. You know, I don't want you to get hidden in a university, in a laboratory, as such, but you should be hired by, you should be in the cabinet of our president that's running for the second term. You know, if he would see this film and say, that's who I need to go around the country and talk to young students to take advantage of what you just said, because we need this kind of map.
Absolutely.
You know, we need this kind of map. I can't say, like I said, Mark Parks was my map, part of my map, you know, at Brooklyn College. But I never had many black professors, you know, as such. And I was out there by myself in organic chemistry or physics or those kind of things. And I had to go and do it myself. I had to go and seek it all the time. But nobody said, come in and I'll give you what I know and direct you, you know, because not many, I just didn't have that experience with black scientists.
Absolutely, and I'm so passionate about mentorship.
Right.
And there's a program that I've begun to work on with Susan Taylor, the former editor of Essence magazine, called The Rising.
Right.
And that program's aim is to connect historically black colleges with elementary school students, with middle school students, and to actually foster a learning in literacy, science, math, and technology. And I'm so passionate about that because as a researcher myself, I've been to national conferences and I've presented with 9,000 or more people and found myself to be the only African American person there, and that is to me absolutely unacceptable.
Well, you know, at that point, I was invited a few years ago to speak at Intel award ceremony in Philadelphia. It was in the Philadelphia Stadium. I mean, it had thousands of people there, and I was the guest speaker. And at the Intel organization, they invite students from all over the world, and you have a cubicle to show something that you have done in science. And I was just so amazed how few black youngsters were there with some science program that they've been involved in and doing something. You said you saw I saw maybe 2 out of this massive students from all over the world.
Wow.
I said, no, this can't be true.
And you know, that shows a direct correlation between the health disparities. If you don't have any African American researchers out there, then who is going to be passionate about researching the disease that affect African Americans?
Well, you know, I took that up a long time ago when I was a resident and I went to the clinics and I saw black women eating laundry starch, Argo laundry starch. They would sit there, and out of a brown paper bag, it came in a blue and white box, but they would dump it into a bag, but you could see the white around their mouth, and the starch was causing them to have an iron deficiency anemia. So instead of saying, don't do that, I said, don't do that, but I'm going to get to Argo starch down in Argo, Illinois. And I'm going to see, and they know that they're making something for people to eat. So I got on programs like Gary Null from WBAI and things like that. He's been a very advocate and advanced person thinking in community and medicine and all the things that affected politics in medicine and things like this. And after 7 years, it took me 7 years to break the company,
Wow.
to make it into a powder. That was on the McCreary report, which I, by the way, if you've never seen a black male doctor on television, that's unbelievable too in America, that you've never seen a black male doctor on television until 1987, when Bill McCreary, who had got a promotion at the Channel 5, he had a program called Black News, and he had invited me to do shows on Black News about medicine. Then when he got a promotion in Channel 5, he brought me on, and I did a thing called House Calls for 10 years, from 87 to 97. But it's the only, people used to tell me they used to get their children up on Sunday morning to see the show where this black doctor, male doctor, is on television. Now, isn't that sad when you think about it? And if you look at television today, you don't see the black male doctor.
Absolutely. And I mean, you exemplify what it is that we need. You look into the issues that affect black people, and
Yes.
but you are only one person. We need more.
A thousand
we need
more.
more young black boys, more young black women.
Yes.
Really looking into the issues, really getting into research, getting their PhDs, getting their MDs.
Right, surely.
To really be able to make an impact
Surely.
upon these health disparities.
Right. Well, I tell you, when certain personalities get on television and they don't give that black young doctor a chance to appear, and they themselves are very well known, and they choose other races to be a demonstration for medicine or any of the sciences and things like that. That's devastating to I mean, it takes us and it just wipes us away to say we're not important, and this is happening
We
on
need that
television right
diversity.
now.
Absolutely, we absolutely need the diversity, and it's an emergency.
It's definitely an emergency, and there's no looking back. We have to look forward, but you're seeing things that they present in our communities that distract us also. You have to look at the total picture of America and so forth, how they can use media to distract you, and take your mind off business.
Absolutely.
And sometimes at the African Poetry Theater, we have a whole thing that you don't need no more entertainers. We need entertainment. If we have entertainment, that's much different than being an entertainer.
Absolutely.
So if all our black children see is nothing but entertainers, nothing is wrong about being an entertainer, because we have some of the best musicians and things like this. But if you take music, for example, jazz is different than hip hop or those kind of things, because you have to write music and read music. That's different than just sounding music. Sounding music has no relevance to history. Nobody will pick up things a million years from now or 100 years from now and say, oh, but they'll pick up our great black jazz musicians and they'll play it on an instrument that might be back in the ages of blowing it on a flute again and what have you. But whatever it is, they'll be able to read the music. And that's so important that our young people get to, if they know music or love music, learn music.
Absolutely.
And
like you said, there just needs to be different avenues. Like music is a wonderful avenue, dance is a wonderful avenue.
Sure.
Athletes, athleticism, that's wonderful, but we need more. You know, we're not we're three-dimensional people.
That's right.
You know,
surely.
and we need to have be able to pursue whatever it is that we want to pursue.
Surely.
You know, and know that we can do it. You know, for me, I have many different passions. Science is my main passion, but
Right.
I also have modeled. I also have done salsa dancing, and I think that you should pursue whatever it is that you want. You don't have to just do one thing, but you know, so many times we're locked into this mindset that we can only do one thing, and maybe even that one thing can't be very much.
That's right. Surely.
You know,
Surely.
so that's why we need people like yourself and myself, you know, to really just be out there and, you know,
encouraging.
encouraging.
I know that Thelonious Monk. I knew the Monk family. Thelonious Monk Jr. To carry on his father's great jazz thing at Duke University, have a Monk department of music, of jazz. Now, Thelonious Monk is then dead, but his son carried it to another level, being at a university like Duke University, to have a department named after Thelonious Monk where you can study jazz, whether you go to a conservatory and learn classical music and so forth. But it's not just learning jazz. It's classical music and everything else too. But it shows you the dimensions that we are in. We're not just drumming, and we're not just blowing saxophones or just playing pianos. But we have to we can compose. You know, we have to compose. I had I don't know if you like poetry or have done poetry yourself.
Absolutely.
But is there a poem that you remember that you wrote?
Wow, I wish I would have brought one. But the one that I wrote was an undergrad, and it was called "I Am Someone Else's Dream."
Okay.
And it was basically, to sum it up, it was about my struggles in terms of studying, in terms of feeling a little bit behind when I began undergrad, because I wasn't necessarily afforded the same opportunities in high school as my counterparts, and they came into school with, you know, maybe different AP credits, and I wasn't even offered a certain amount of AP credits in my high school. So I didn't have that advantage, and I had to study harder. And I had an advantage over many other African American students because of the Arthur Ashe Health Science Academy. But even with that, I still had to study harder. I had to spend hours in the library in order to really be able to advance in these subjects. And I did. I spent like 12 hours studying for organic chemistry. I was able to get an A, you know, but I really had to change my mindset, and it was a struggle, you know, at first, in order to really be able to understand how to function and be successful in college. And so that's what the poem is about. And then I talked about the moments where I felt like giving up or being distracted by the things that were surrounding me. And I talked about the things that helped me to focus, like my mother and my family, and knowing what happened before me, knowing about the people, the black people who struggled in the civil rights movement, you know, knowing about the people who, you know, sacrificed their lives for me to have the opportunity that I have today. And, you know, just knowing that inspired me to continue going. And that's what the poem is entitled, I Am Someone Else's Dream.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you became somebody's dream right here at Downstate Medical Center. Where did you get your PhD at?
S.U.N.Y. Downstate Medical.
There you go.
S.U.N.Y. Downstate Medical
and
Center.
And what was your thesis?
My thesis was on multiple myeloma, cancer of the bone marrow.
Yes. Isn't that wonderful? It just make me feel like a glow because somebody gave you that chance here at Downstate.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Downstate is my home, my family. I've been here for years, since I was in the Arthur Ashe Health Science Academy, and when I talk about support system, that's what Downstate has offered me. You know, through so many people, you know, through mentors like yourself, you know, through so many people, and this is what we need. You know, we need people, you know, like yourself, like myself, like, you know.
Like Susan Taylor.
Like Susan Taylor.
Now, you're working with her right now on a program.
Yes, right now we're working on a program called The Rising. And I am just so passionate and so excited about this program because they are trying to target different schools all over the country to connect historically black colleges and hopefully other colleges as well, and connect the African American college students to the middle school students, and to help them serve as mentors and to teach them literacy, to teach them math and science.
Well, you know, that's so interesting because I said we could solve the whole problem if the black colleges alone, when a student came in to a black college, that 20 of their credits, mandatory, would have to be, at their graduation, they had tutored one student in the area of that college and present that student at their graduation.
Wow.
Can you imagine the thousands?
Wow.
It would make those
great
students in
impact.
college more responsible too, because they now, that's going to be 20 of their credits that they have to reduce another human being. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Absolutely.
You know, and you would be a perfect thing for this kind of thing, you know. And so it's just wonderful having here Dr. Scott and to give your testimony. And we're going to do some more shows with you because we don't want you to be forgotten.
Yeah, I just want everybody to know that, you know, I'm, you know, from Brooklyn, born in Kings County Hospital, and went through struggles like everybody else. And if I can do it, you know, there are others just like me that can do it as well. You know, I'm no different than anybody else. If I can do it, anyone can.
Well, Dr.
Yeah.
Scott, you got it. You folks out there, I hope you heard the message today. Think hard, do hard, and work hard, and you can do it also. I'll see you the next time.